Okay, we are going to do a draft today. We're going to talk extensions with Denzel Ward in the books. With his extension, Myles Garrett has been extended. Deshaun Watson is locked down. There's plenty of other guys we can go through. There's so many key pieces on this roster who have gotten paid, who have been extended. So I wanted to do a little bit of a draft here, a midweek draft. We usually save these for the roundtables. We're doing one now of guys on the roster who it's a little squishy, but guys who could be extended next, guys who you kind of predict might be on the docket to get extended next. Maybe there's somebody you want to make a case for. We can all kind of take this whatever direction we want, although I kind of have a feeling we have the same number one on our boards on these criteria, although Scott might have a guy. I'm eyeing Scott here because I think we might have a guy pretty high on our board that we might be racing for here. Scott, you do have the number one pick though. So it'll go Scott, Mary Kay, and then me. And I'm curious, Scott, who do you have here as your number one extension pick?
Well, it's really came down to two picks. And at the end of the day, and by the way, I was kind of looking more towards guys who might get extended at some point during this coming season by next year, who either, were facing free agency or would become eligible after this coming season. So really came down to two guys. And I think I went with my number one guy because I don't think he has as much maybe to prove this season as the other guy, which means they might wait on him. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt, number one.
Ooh.
I think his worth is recognized. We saw how the offense struggled without having him in there with Nick Chubb or without having him in there besides Nick Chubb. Just gives them another dimension on offense. Obviously, he's big in the pass game, although I've written multiple times they should really start throwing to Nick Chubb more. He's the most elusive running back in the league, and if you throw a screen to him, he'll do good things with it. But Kareem Hunt was like one of the best in the league on screen passes. Obviously, we know what he does in short yardage compared to Chubb. I think it's a guy. I think you just want to keep that pairing as long as you can. So I would not be surprised if he's a guy who gets extended before the season, during the season, either way.
Mary Kay, you are up.
I am going to go with David Njoku at number 2. David has been franchised at about $11 million, and he's been really now installed as the number one tight end. So 1 year left on his contract. As of right now, they have until July to extend him under terms of the franchise tag. So I think he's someone that probably is in line for the next extension or one coming up pretty quickly. And they have been talking long-term extension for a long time. I mean, I remember asking him back in November if he was talking extension with the Browns, and he said yes. So that's something that's kind of underway. And now that Denzel is done, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens fairly soon.
Yeah, I had him third on my list. And partly I had him below Hunt because I felt like it just seems like they're going to want to see how he does, at least during the early part of the season, as the guy. I imagine they're going to do less 3 tight end looks. It's going to be more 2 tight end looks with Njoku being like the main receiving threat. It just feels like they want to see something from him before they go ahead and say, okay, all right, you're our guy going forward for X number of years.
All right. So now I've got to I really want to take a guy that I've got on my list. I still feel like Scott is out there eyeballing him, but I think I'm going to take this guy because I think it's an interesting discussion. Jack Conklin. So coming off the injury, going into the final year of his deal, they just redid his contract recently. And I feel like this is a guy that in 2020 we were talking about, and I think Doug even made the case that he was the best offensive lineman on the team when it was the best unit, the best offensive line in football. You paid him to come in and stabilize that right tackle position. And I don't know who's behind him right now. I mean, are you just going to let him walk and hand things to James Hudson, sort of like you might be doing with Nick Harris here? Maybe that's the scenario. Maybe they really like what James Hudson could do there after Conklin's gone. I feel like if Conklin comes back and he's healthy and he plays at the level he can play, I could see sitting down and doing a 2 or 3 year deal with him and trying to keep him around at a pretty reasonable number, because I think he's still a really good player when he's healthy.